Thank you for joining us for today's webinar, where we will be solving food industry challenges with connected technology, hosted by Bar Code Integrators, Zebra Technologies, and Temperature Genie. We're thrilled to have you with us bright and early this Thursday morning. Just before we get started here, a quick note: today's session is being recorded, and we'll be sharing the recording with you once it's available. Another note, we'd love to make this interactive. You will see a Q&A button at the top of your screen. Please use that anytime during the presentation or the Q&A session to submit your questions. We will address them as many as possible during the live Q&A session at the end of this discussion. And with that, I'll hand it off to Miguel for his introduction.
Thank you very much, Haza, for kicking this off and setting it up and everybody joining. I'm one of your hosts here today, Miguel, with Bar Code Integrators, and for the last 30 years, BCI has helped companies implement barcode RFID solutions along with software required to help optimize your supply chain and have better visibility into your inventory and assets. So with that, I've also got John from Zebra and Adam who will be presenting as well. We want to give you an overview of the technology and the software, how it says these three companies work together to kind of deliver a solution that you might be able to implement within your supply chain. We're aware most of you already are using some sort of barcoding and inventory management solution. So we want to show you by the end of this presentation on what it would look like to be able to implement a pilot of this solution, to be able to get better visibility into your perishables once they leave your four walls, give you some insights on what the industry challenges are within the food manufacturing space, beverage, pharmaceutical, and even retail, and how this technology can be adopted to give you the insights that you need. Really what it comes down to as an integrator, we focus on the hardware and the technology that you want to be able to implement. We'll be talking a bit about the sensors, the bridges, and of course, a lot of you already have the mobile computers in place that will be able to help implement that. A lot of what goes into what BCI does is making sure that you have all the right resources to be able to test, install, deploy, and support the solution, once everything is installed. So we focus on everything from the project management, the testing, configuration, the deployment, the support, the training, and then we fine-tune the solution, as it's been deployed into your operations. Is really kind of our goal. What we're really focusing on here for this webinar is mostly on the compliance, the quality, things that we need to give you better visibility on using this technology, things that are, some of the compliance and traceability audits that you have to be able to keep up with, when to be able to ensure that your customers are also receiving good quality product, ensuring that you're able to react to that, proactively rather than reactively. So we want to give you some insights on what that looks like for you once you adopt this technology and move it along. A lot of what we are seeing is a lot of heavy manual entry, people going around taking temperatures manually and then taking that to someone else to record, and by the time you actually have any actions or insights to it, it's a very limited visibility. They're reacting to activities and actions that, it's not just the cost of the lost product, but it's the time, it's the brand recognition. There's a lot that really goes into it. So I can keep talking. I love this stuff, but I really want the industry experts to kind of get into it. John from Zebra will be speaking more about for the bridge, of the sensors that you'll need as well to be able to deploy it in your operations. So, John, I'll let you take it away.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
You pull up the presentation here and let me know when you can see this. I won't go through this in total detail. I will obviously send this out to the rest of you, when we after we conclude this call. But off. A little bit of background about myself. I work here at Zebra Technologies. I've been here for about 2.5 years. I came from the food industry. I worked at PepsiCo for many years. And one of the things that Zebra's really focused on is food and consumable waste. Obviously, it's a big issue with a lot of companies globally. And we know COVID put a real highlight on the supply chain vulnerabilities that are out there. So we've come up with some solutions to help you kind solve those issues and help you mitigate any risk to your brand, your customer, your product. In supply chain, there's a lot of different areas of where we need to, have our attention on and keep focused on it to make sure that our customers are, happy with our products, and we're able to obviously mitigate any risk in the environment. But these are just some examples of what we're trying to solve, or issues that we're trying to solve within that cold supply chain. Obviously HACCP compliance, FSMA 204, which has been pushed out, but still very, very valid. Validation products, protecting assets, minimizing waste, things like that. All the things that I'm sure you're very aware of within your supply chain. And to get into the portfolio itself, this is the portfolio of Zebra products for environmental sensors. It's kind of broken out into 4 different buckets. We're mostly going to focus on the data loggers, the ready-to-use indicators, the RFID sensor, and the printable indicators are a big chunk of it as well. But for the purpose of this conversation, I think the data loggers is the best avenue to go to, and we're happy to kind of go into further detail for the ready-to-use, the RFID sensors, and the printable indicators. But let me just give you a quick overview of the ZS300 and the ZB200. So the ZS300 is a Bluetooth data logger. It looks like this. Miguel showed it before. It's small, versatile. It's IP67 rated. That means it's dust proof, waterproof up to 3 meters, and takes ranges from negative 40C to 85C. It is a self-contained sensor. It is reusable, so you can send this on multiple tasks over and over again. And the beauty of it is existing infrastructure. So it's very, very cool sensor. And Zebra doesn't have software for this. We work with our partners to create software for this. We feel like that we are the best software company to do this, and so that's why we have folks Adam and Miguel to really help us in that area, which also kind of customize this to whatever needs you need, or whatever situations or use cases that you're looking for. You have the ability to do that. And Adam, I won't steal Adam's thunder here, but he's going to show you what some amazing stuff that he's done with this sensor. So yeah, it sends you alerts if there's an issue within your supply chain. It gives you that kind of real-time information without the price tag of a cellular data logger. And so how does this communicate to the cloud? How does this communicate to you? It communicates to you the 2 different ways. One is physical bridges. So think of this as a router. It's something that pulls the information off of the sensors and uploads it to the cloud. That's one area. The other area that a lot of is an application. It's CS Finder. It's free. It's a free application that can go on any Android within your ecosystem. So if you have tablets, if you have handheld mobile computers, if you have there's a ways that you can apply this device, and that will constantly read and pull information off of these sensors in the background. Your store employee won't even know that the phone or the tablet that they're holding is pulling the information off these sensors and uploading it to the cloud. So it's really, really cool. And that is a huge differentiator. We don't want you to have to buy a ton more hardware when you have existing hardware. More hardware, but in most cases, you're able to kind of get that mesh network within your ecosystem, whether it's products in motion or products stable or facility monitoring. You're able to leverage existing infrastructure, which is a big win. To quickly go over this, the second to last slide that I have here, but this is kind of a visualization of how the product is the information is being pulled off, the sensors being pulled off a bridge. It goes into the Zebra Cloud, and then from the Zebra Cloud, that's where Adam comes in and pulls the information off and brings it to you. You want to digest it. You know, if you would like many bells and whistles, they have that capability. They have the capability of obviously sending. I'm just going to stop talking there because Adam's going to show it to you in a second here. But this is an example of you know, just what the ecosystem looks like. And you know, obviously, any questions. One other thing that I'll mention here is this is encrypted Bluetooth, so you're not able to hack this. There's no I don't disrupt different customers, but I will stop talking now and throw it over to Adam. That was pretty quick and dirty, but you know, obviously here to help or answer any more questions. This slide and take over when you can.
Perfect. So yeah, hi guys. Really exciting intros there, guys. I love John brings. Miguel's been a fantastic partner to us. Really fun, energetic team working with these guys. And yeah, just all around good time at the minute. So I'm going to share my screen because that is not my presentation. Can I take over your screen, John?
Yes, please do. Did that not work? Sorry.
I think so.
There you go.
Yeah. Working, guys. Is that better?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Cool. So yeah, hi. So I'm Adam Corcoran, the founder of Temperature Genie. So I've been working in the compliance space and looking at ways over the last 10 years to reduce the physical time spent in tasks, whether that be stock taking, whether that be temperature monitoring. It's all about trying to reduce time and efficiency. So what we found with Temp Genie is that we've got a product that they share the same philosophy with the technology that they built, and kind of evolve between us. So like, where is Temp Genie strong is what we're trying to get to. So we are strong in the perishables market. We're strong in the retail market. We believe there's a big presence to be had in the pharmaceutical market as well, and the chilled logistics. So what we're trying to do is ensure that product quality and consistency is adhered to and achieved, whether that's in manufacturing, whether that's monitoring the temperature ranges of products moving from point A to point B. A lot of this is kind of echoing what Miguel said. It's about preventing spoilage and waste, complying. So, you know, different standards comply with different food safety standards. So the FDA, USDA, HACCP. We've got systems in place that will allow us to monitor the temperatures, create a and also produce certificates, qualification certificates as well. So the alerts are really in place to create immediate action to deal with problems before they occur, prevent wastage, reduce spoilage, and ensure product reputation as well. So there's a quick sort of overview of what the software looks like. So David's going to go on and do a demo for us, but to cover off some of the points that John was talking about, we do have a centralized management system for all of the sensors and all of the data, which can be configured. We have smart alerts in place, which we can distribute via application notifications. phone notifications, email, work headset notifications as well at the minute, which could be a game changer for people. Companies that need both hands, right? So they don't want to be holding devices. So the pre-configuration sensors turn up to site already configured, whether that be into a truck or a physical brick and mortar site. The sensors will be ready to just install easily. They can be stuck onto a surface. They can be magnetized. We'll work with Zebra on an exoskeleton, so that when we come to replace a sensor, there's a simple swap and take, which again leads to the easy on-site and installation part of the process. John mentioned and talked a little bit about the ability to use a ZS Finder. We're finding that that's a really good solution when we are working in a remote environment. So if we're looking to monitor temperatures, so we want to be able to put the ZS Finder running which is carrying out other tasks for the driver. That will then connect into the sensors at the back of the trailer and give that kind of small alert where we're constantly triggered to track and see that through the GPS on the device. We're then able to see roughly where the location of the sensors are as well in transit. So pretty cool. We have got secure multi-factor authentication built into the platform, but as John alluded to, there's the Bluetooth as well. We can monitor the battery health as well. So if there is the sensors are becoming end of life, we're going to alert to that before that, before to kind of get ahead of that and swap those out when it's needed. You can see at the bottom that we've created a compliance report, so we can track temperatures and reports off for different companies. So that might be HACCP, or you might get somebody coming around to do a spot check. You can pull off a report for the time and date for one sensor or multiple sensors, and that'll basically give you a certificate to the other people. Moving on to that, so we've got an example of a PQ report that we've generated here. We've worked closely with Zebra to create the PQ functionality. Reason being is that Zebra have the sensors now, will enable us to run this packaging qualification process, which is a great solution for all of us involved. And we think that it could be something that is very, very prominent within the logistics sector and the pharmaceutical sector as well. We can configure temperature ranges as well. So whilst we're looking at all this data, we're able to really configure temperature ranges for the alerts as well, so that we're able to, for example, monitor hot temperatures, cold temperatures and frozen temperatures, and be really accurate within 0.3 degrees of temperature, which is pretty cool. So one of the last things I want to show is an example of an ROI that we did with a retailer here in the UK. So you can see we've got 50 locations. We've got a mixture of hot, chilled and frozen. Average hourly rate 12.44. Total number of 850 sensors. So the total cost reduction is 151,000 per year, and that equates to 8.1 months of payback. So a lot of people look for a payback within 3 years. We're actually doing it in less than a year with this solution. So it does really show that there's a saving there, not just a saving within physical time spent, but we can attribute further to this by looking at the saving that's involved when you remove wastage, and then the saving involved when it comes to the cost of getting rid of the wasted food as well. So there's a lot of other benefits that we can wrap into this as well, and I'm happy to chat to anybody about that if needed. And then lastly, the last thing is a recent use case that we've had. with a retailer here. So we've been monitoring the hot, chilled, and frozen environments. So whether that be the hot cabinets with the hot food, through to monitoring the chilled trucks that move from distribution to store, monitoring the frozen chillers and fridges in the store as well. So yeah, that's kind of it from me. Not going to drag on too much. I'll let David pick up with a quick demo of the software as well, and hopefully that'll spur on some questions and yeah, just trying to be as broad as I can, because I know there's people from different industries and different verticals. So if I'm not being specific to you, please reach out to me. I'm happy to have a chat.
Yeah. While Adam's pulling that up, I just want to mention, we do Zebra partners with different ISVs globally, and we recognize that Adam's solution is the best for all occasions. That they have developed a product that is versatile for different industries, that can achieve multiple different goals depending on how deep or how shallow you want to go in terms of monitoring not only your products, but also making sure that there's the quality assurance and data and analytics that you can provide to your customers. So at Zebra, we work with a lot of people, a lot of partners, but Adam's solution is one of the best. And I will also say that BCI is also one of the best in the business. So yeah, just thought I'd add those words.
Awesome. Great.
Can you see my screen okay?
Yes.
All right. So covered a lot of this off already. I won't dive into kind of too much detail, but the first thing to show is that the way that this system has been architected and created really for quite a simple setup with an organization and a few areas and assets that they want to monitor. So this is an example where somebody's got 3 places they want to monitor: a mature store, a fridge, and a freezer. They're a cheese manufacturer. As Adam says, the sensors in here are given temperature ranges, alerting ranges, and we can monitor through those. But if you cast your mind, this could be for an organization with multiple regions, areas, locations, stores, different types of cabinets in here, or with a nice kind of drag and drop interface as you move these things around and configure them within there. What we end up with is a view of those locations. We're working on location maps at the moment, so you can kind of physically see things in relation to kind of a store map. But in these examples, we've got 3 assets that we're tracking: the fridge, the freezer, and the mature store, each of them with their own ranges, each of them with their own target ranges, and we're all green on these ones. So these are all compliant. This is pulling the information from the Zebra Cloud that John was talking about. So we get those readings as regular as we set the sensor up to do. These sensors can be very, very rapid in terms of getting their updates. They can be very kind of irregular as they do those, depending on the use case. From here, we can then see multiple assets together and their different statuses. So in these demo examples, we have one asset with 5 or 6 sensors in the same place. Everything is compliant. We have one that's gone offline or gone out of range, and we've gone red. Also see simple things: how the battery range is, the last time since the last update on these things. We then obviously, so we can look into an asset, we can look into the sensors within there and see how this has gone over time. So as Adam says, so you want to know exactly what's gone. One of the really important things about this is because the collecting those and putting them into the cloud, if they're not immediately connected, or they are in a remote location and they're only going to get picked up by the mobile devices, we get all of that history. So we don't just get a point in time reading, we get all the readings that the sensor has collected, up to 16,000. So if you want to send something out for a month, send something to see, have it come back, we know the temperature range of whatever went out when it comes back, and we can plot that over time. Adam also mentioned we can track the GPS locations with these things as well, so we know there was a particular problem in a particular place. We're also working on, for a client at the moment, the ability for us to know when something should be in operation. So for example, in a logistics environment, in a truck, is the truck actually in use? Is there anything in the truck? Hooking into the warehouse management systems to know this truck should be cold rather than the doors are open, it's sitting out because nothing should be in there. So getting really smart about the times we care about with devices. And interesting use case, to go on a slight tangent from someone the other day that wanted to know, in our units, we want to know they're open from 8 in the morning till 10 at night. They actually want to know if they've been turned off early for another saving for themselves, because they think the staff are turning these things off early, and we can spot it by the temperature being either too high or too low. We then get into the kind of roles and permissions. So you can set up entire teams with different permissions, people that can see sensor times, people that can action alerts, people that can view alerts. So if you want to have different access within different parts of your organization, very, very flexible within there. As Adam says, the PQ report generator, so the ability to do a performance or a packaging report. So the examples being in kind of mail order pharmacy, you don't need to track every shipment necessarily, but you need to prove that the process you have for your shipments is sound and keeps the medicines or the goods cool that you're shipping. So in these scenarios, they're running a time-based test. We then can produce a report that they can then use to confirm that this thing is working. So that would work in a whole range of logistics processes. Some of these things need to be done on a regular basis. Some need to be done simply to prove that a process works. But again, a whole range of reporting available within the system. And you can probably see on the right, I probably should have played it as we go along, kind of a mobile app that's available as well to do the same sort of stuff through there. Yeah, any questions, ideas? More than happy to hear them.
Cheers, David.
I think you're on mute, Miguel.
Sorry about that. Thank you for putting that together. A great demo, great presentation. There's a lot of utility out of what I get excited what I see here. As we wrap up here, let me pull up the rest. We've got a little Q&A, and here we go. And it looks like there were some questions asked about routes. But hopefully this gives you all a better overview of what you can do in regards to minimizing your risk, your exposure. If you want to bring on new clients and be able to offer a new type of service offering, provide better SLAs, everything that we kind of mentioned through here. I think there's a lot of value. BCI can come in, take a look at your existing devices that you already have. What can you use? What might you need to upgrade to? These bridges are real easy to install. Just by a simple USB or power over Ethernet. They could be deployed via Wi-Fi. They have up to a 200-foot range, so these can be deployed strategically throughout the facility. Or again, if you already have mobile computers, in your operations, it's as simple as downloading the app. And then what we'd like to offer too after this, anybody looking to trial a 30-day demo, we'll be able to provide a bridge and some about 10 sensors as well, and we'll be happy to work with you getting anything set up. So that's kind of where we're at. I really appreciate everybody's time. And then Haza, any specific questions that came up?
Yes, there are quite a number of questions here that we've gathered from the participants. First questions is, are firmware updates pushed automatically, or do they require manual intervention?
I'll take that question from a safer perspective. So the firmware on the sensor itself is complete. Like you don't update the firmware on this. Any new updates to firmware is if there is an update to the firmware, we can do it in the factory. If there was a big update or something mission critical, we would have the ability to access it and push a firmware update to the sensor itself. But to if there's a firmware update to the bridge or anything like that, that's no problem. The sensor is the one that's because we don't know exactly. It can sometimes be outside of the range of a bridge. We can't automatically push a firmware like that.
And then from our standpoint, depending on what infrastructure you have, the devices, we can push those updates to the mobile devices through the MDM. If there's any software updates, that's usually scheduled and planned. If there's any updates to the bridges, just like any other technology, we plan those updates. We test it with one unit first before we deploy it to the whole network, and something doesn't work correctly. So that's usually pretty planned, and we don't really automatically push updates unless there's something that we need to. Usually an update will break things if we don't test it first. So Adam, is there anything specific as far as how you update that you want to maybe chime in there?
So I mean, it's like you said, the sensors are not exactly running any software as such on there. So any updates we would do would be updates within our software that we would deploy. I mean, it's probably more of a David question, that, to be honest, but from
yeah, I mean, ours is a web-based solution, so any updates are pushed, no intervention required from end users. Mobile apps will be pushed to the kind of the app store and then pushed out through whatever anyone's running in terms of MDM or other solutions.
Hopefully that gets you the comfort that you need. So yeah, usually they're planned as far as any firmware updates that we will deploy and do if they need to be taking place. It looks like for operations still using paper logs, what's the best first step to take? Usually that's us taking a look, doing a walkthrough, what technology you already have, what technology you'll need. Adam, maybe you want to jump in on how you kind of go about it from your discovery phase?
Yeah. Depend if it is a physical location. Let's understand the restrictions. We would always try to recommend that a trial or a first next step to this is to get some sensors in situ, whether that's going to be companioned with a bridge or whether that's going to be companioned with a ZS Finder running on a device. They're the two options. That's the first step, is to identify what's the hardware we want to make this work. The next piece of the puzzle is to configure the kit, get it out to the customer. We can do that within a day or two, as long as we've got the right details. If it's you guys doing it, obviously, we would just need to get specific details, but there's a sheet for that. It takes no time. So the first step, once we've done that, would be to get actually into a trial. So we're recording the data, we're logging it, we're understanding what's going on in the environment, and we configure the sensor range. Beyond that, maybe we do that for a week. Week 2 would be to trigger off alerts to specific people, get that working, understand the situation, and then if it needs to be continued past that, you've then got week 3 and 4. Where you just sort of testing the system on a more enterprise level across the business, and that's with a logistics company here called Muller. So Muller are one of the largest, in fact, the largest supplier of milk to the UK retail market. Now, they wanted to do a trial. They posed that to me on Monday, and Tuesday afternoon I was down there, got them up and running within half an hour. So, it's really how quick can you guys be as to how quick we can do it. So, if the customer, if they can give us what we need, we can do it within a couple of days, or we can do it within a couple of weeks.
Yeah, depending on the planning, what you already have, we can ramp you up pretty quickly. Adam and his team are great at that. As long as the everything's in stock, we can get everything shipped. We usually keep some stock of some stuff, at least to get trials going. But during that,
really good first step, Miguel, is for us to get a site map or a planogram which shows us the areas which we want to monitor.
Yep.
If it's in trucks, well, we just need to understand the size and scale of the truck. Perfect.
Looks like we've got another one. Can these tools help identify pattern that lead to reoccurring issues? Ideally, yes, and eventually we solve those. So maybe Adam, I guess I'll let you take over that one again because you've got the software that does it.
Yeah, so I didn't catch that question. Sorry.
Can these tools help identify patterns that lead to reoccurring issues?
I'm going to say yes, but I'm going to say David's a good one to answer that.
So yeah, we have quite a lot of examples where there's some quite obvious patterns that come out that can be dealt with, but also now with large data, there's also patterns that people don't necessarily realize are patterns. You would probably not spot it if you had a big shed of data, but it can be things like equipment that's actually operating almost too hard and it needs kind of maintenance and something needs to go on. It can be pointing to issues that are going on in the stores. I mentioned people spotting that things were being turned off early and shouldn't have been, which was costing them from a revenue perspective. People were just deciding to turn off things because it was easier to go home quickly. There's also things where certain actions are being taken. So actually, as Adam mentioned, looking at that integration with headsets to alert people to fridge issues. Actually, some of the issues is people not closing doors and not closing things off properly. The other thing that we're adding is the ability to tag those assets within the system with manufacturer information, device information. So actually, the more data we check, we can start to spot trends across. Is there a particular model that's causing a problem? Is there is there something about your infrastructure that actually it's this particular manufacturer that we have the most problems with? And actually put that into your longer term planning of kit you don't want to use that you may not have real problem.
I think one thing I'll add as well is, this sensor gives a temperature, alarm state, timestamp, and location rich. So what a lot of customers are wanting to know is where is the sensor, especially when it's products in motion. You can lay this out on a map where the asset is connected to the sensor. So in a lot of ways, people are looking at this as an alternative to RFID as well, because it is broadcasting out a signal that you can pick up and then know the location of assets, and then in turn create data from that, create insights from that.
Very good. Yeah. Any of those trends that you see, whether it's someone that takes a route that might take a little bit too long, they stop, they're before that product gets delivered, so you can proactively let your client know, hey, you might want to inspect this before it gets delivered to ensure that it's of the quality that you need. So there's a lot of trends that once this is set up, you'll be able to track and identify that you might not have seen being there. So gives you a lot, like John, Adam, David said, you're getting the timestamp, the temperature, the location, the trend along that. You could set alerts towards a trending environment, whether it's trending cold or it's trending hot, and get ahead of it before it's an issue as well. Depending on the interval that you set this, whether it's you want it to read every minute or every couple hours. The more it reads, the more it consumes the battery. So there is a cadence that we want to follow to be able to meet along those lines. But it's there's a lot of use cases we're yet to define that we'll find out through our customers what reoccurring issues we can identify and spot. Once they implement this, once you have the data, it's very, very powerful. Here we got one for companies already using basic barcode systems, how to expand into connected visibility without full infrastructure overhaul. Well, the great thing is, as we mentioned, is if a customer is already using a barcode system, a warehouse management system, they're already tracking their product in and out of their facility, right? And by adding this technology and either one of these bridges or even just putting the app on the device, you're able to now start having visibility into where these assets are, read the data that gets set up to the cloud so that you can start using these without having to rip and replace anything. And there isn't much of a drastic overhaul in existing your wireless network. They even do the power over Ethernet if you want them to be PoE. And you could set these up strategically around your facility. Like I said, these bridges are only a few $100, and if you already have the devices, there's not much more of an investment besides downloading the app and paying for the license fees for any of the software. And so hopefully that answers that. Anybody else want to add in?
I was going to put something in there. So if you're running existing WMS or warehouse management systems, and you're using that platform to already generate alerts out to staff and colleagues, we could create, we already have a RESTful API that we can feed data through to that system and allow them to use their own alert features rather than having to use the front end interface of our software.
Very good. Hopefully that helps answer that question. And the last one, maybe John, is humidity sensing on the roadmap?
Sure is. Yeah. We have, I mentioned it earlier, the other sensors that we do have the capability of doing humidity and moisture with some one-time use sensors, but there is a roadmap for having temperature and humidity in one sensor. Don't hold me to this, but I'm hoping for the second half of 2026.
Very cool. That'll be nice. There'll be a lot of data to be collected. It'll really help out a lot of these manufacturers.
For sure.
In the interim, we do have this technology, which if you already have Zebra printers, you're printing your labels. It's nothing more than putting in this chemical coating, this technology on the label in a specific area. And once this gets to the final location, if this chemical is exposed, it'll help you identify and your clients identify that this asset has had a humidity exposure event that it shouldn't have had. So there's ways that we can complement the data before it gets there and also give the people on the floor some visual identifiers as well. So the technologies complement each other. They back each other up. Like John mentioned, these are the little tags you could drop in as well. There's some other good visibility markers that'll give you those, any humidity or other type of chemical events that are going to affect the product and your perishables through transit. So, John, hopefully we'll hold you to Q2. We'll do this webinar again next year. See you
Second half, Q3. Yeah.
This is news for me, so I'll be holding you to this as well.
All right, right on.
We've got some ideas.
Do sensors have shock visibility if the package is opened or if it has dropped?
Not currently. No, we don't have that capability. Again, that is on our roadmap, but the first step on the roadmap is temperature and humidity. I did see another question on there about case studies. Yes, we have plenty of case studies. Adam can provide some of his. We have some other ones from Zebra, but yeah, definitely lots of case studies and lots of different use cases. We're it's food, consumables, chemicals. Like there are areas that we did not think about using these sensors that have come up, and the versatility of it and the versatility of Atom software is really what's driving a lot of those different use cases.
Yeah, it's impressive to see what's coming together so quickly. And at the end of the day, getting started with this as the foundation to do the GPS and the temperature. As Zebra continues to expand their portfolio, you'll have the best of breed. As they continue to expand, you'll be able to implement these easily by already having the software, the hardware in place. So as humidity and shock becomes important to you, I believe that'll be part of the roadmap. And if not, we have everything that we need installed until it is. Are there any more? Am I catching them all?
Yes, I think all the questions have been answered.
Most excellent. Wonderful. Well, hopefully everybody took a little bit of value from this. For those that are on the call, we'll reach out to you directly, or if you want to reach out to us ahead of time, we're more than happy to get you set up with a 30-day trial. We'll provide the equipment and the resource for this. We want to give you something back for taking the time to join us on this webinar. And we look forward to helping everybody out going forward. Adam, John, David, Haza, and everybody on the call. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Thanks,
for your
everyone.
time.
Have a great
Yeah.
productive day.
Cheers, guys.
See ya.
Cheers.
Bye.